A drink is poured while someone double-checks if the instructions are loud and clear. It's finally time for the debutante ball, the high-stakes night every noble girl has been stressing over. A woman in charge keeps the energy low-key, reminding everyone to keep their mouths shut. May Avril, a daughter of a count with brown hair and a greenish dress, stands among girls who are literally shaking with nerves. The guys aren't doing any better, lining up like they're waiting for a draft pick. Once the music hits, it's all about the aesthetic ballroom moves and flowing dresses. One girl looks like she just took a massive L right in front of everyone. May, on the other hand, is out here shouting yes, like she just won the lottery. The instructor isn't feeling the vibe at all and immediately points her toward the exit. May heads out into the dark alone, looking like she's done with the main plot for the night. Behind her back, the other girls start spilling the tea and judging her every move. They're really out here acting like they have main character energy when they're just background noise. May finds it hilarious that these side characters think they're actually doing something. In their eyes, she's just a total extra with zero plot relevance. She's struggling to keep a straight face because the whole situation is comedy gold. She accepts her status as an extra, standing unbothered in a garden full of blooming main characters. Then you've got the classic blonde heroine who wakes up and realizes she's the star of the show. And the edgy girl in the military fit who looks ready to start a whole rebellion. Don't forget the tragic backstory baby that everyone is forced to pity for the plot. May isn't buying into any of that forced drama or cliché roles. While the pretty people are busy flirting, she's just a tiny blur in the background of their scene. She watches two top-tier beauties chat, but she sees the literal spoilers floating over them. She focuses in on the details that everyone else completely misses. Floating above their heads are the actual titles of the romance novels they're trapped in. One girl is literally begging for scraps from a woman who clearly has villainous vibes. The mysterious woman smirks, talking about a master like she's part of some secret cult. Then there's the king trope, looking like a total gotcha whale with all that gold around him. The wealth gap in this world is honestly terrifying when you see it up close. Some people are stuck on the ground, realizing the social wall is way too high to climb. And then you have the ones who just fall straight into the abyss of being a background character. Like the girl struggling with a massive cooking pot over an open flame for peanuts. Or the classic trope of picking up a beggar who turns out to be a hidden prince. Then there's the flower girl just trying to secure the bag in a busy market. But for some, it feels like their luck is just flying away like loose change in the wind. A girl in an elegant blue dress puts on her best pure protagonist face for the cameras. April Avril, May's sister with pink hair, pulls her into a hug like they're BFFs. It looks wholesome on the outside, but the vibes in this hug are completely rancid. Up close, April's expression shifts into something way more devious and sinister. May stays unbothered, just casually fixing her sister's crooked ribbon like it's nothing. She knows exactly what's going on and she's not about to play the victim. April loses her cool immediately, her face twisting into a look of pure rage. But May just hits her with the anyway and walks off into the distance. Someone grabs April's face, and she looks like she's about to have a full-blown existential crisis right then and there. May Avril is being led away from the chaos, but she's still keeping a sharp eye on all the drama unfolding behind her. April is out here laughing with her clique, while May watches from the shadows like a total stalker. May's face says it all. She is absolutely not vibing with whatever her sister is planning next. She stands in the corner of the massive ballroom, just quietly observing the high society mess as it happens. A lady in a purple dress is busy flirting with a noble, probably trying to secure her own plot armor for the season. May looks like she just realized she's a background character in her own life, and the realization is hitting her hard. Suddenly, a guy pops up and asks her for a dance, which was definitely not on her staying invisible to-do list. She's literally stunned, looking like a deer in headlights because she didn't expect anyone to actually notice her. Next thing she knows, she's on the dance floor and her face is screaming, "Send help," the entire time she's moving. Of course, the local gossip squad is already whispering about her, like they don't have lives of their own to manage. May just hits them with a confident smirk, knowing she's living rent-free in their heads right now. April is over there living her best life, surrounded by people who think she's the ultimate main character. But the second the spotlight shifts away, April looks like she's about to start throwing hands in the middle of the ball. May is still out here dancing, but her eyes are locked onto her sister's every suspicious move. The dance finally ends and May gives a polite bow, probably just glad she survived the social interaction. She gets a sudden spark of inspiration, and honestly, it looks kind of dangerous for everyone involved. Without a second thought, she starts sprinting up the stairs like she's late for a final boss fight. She sneaks through the glass doors, probably breaking about 5 royal protocols in the process. May bursts into the room with 100% confidence and absolutely 0% of an actual plan. She finds herself staring down a group of very confused royal staff members who were not expecting company. The red-haired knight and the aide with glasses are just staring at her like, who is this random girl? She stops right in her tracks, realizing she might have just walked into a very awkward and illegal situation. And there he is, the legendary Emperor Reheim himself, looking way more majestic than the rumors said. May is literally gasping for air because the Emperor's visuals are actually insane in person. Reheim just casually fixes his blonde hair, looking like he knows exactly how good he looks right now. He hits her with that smug, high-tier noble look that screams, "I'm better than you," and we both know it. May's life flashes before her eyes, and she's out here questioning every choice that led her to this moment. She remembers her past life breaking stuff and living like a feral gremlin compared to this fancy nonsense. The secondhand embarrassment from her own memories is enough to make her want to vanish on the spot. She locks eyes with the Emperor, realizing she's reached the point of no return in her master plan. She's sweating buckets, but she knows she has to make a move if she wants to hijack the plot. Reheim just smirks at her, probably enjoying how flustered and desperate she looks. May gives him a super dramatic bow, trying to look professional while her heart is doing marathons. Then, out of nowhere, she just straight up grabs him and lands a kiss. Absolute and total madness. Reheim is completely short-circuited, eyes wide and brain probably still rebooting from the shock. She's still holding on to him, committing 100% to this chaotic energy she just unleashed. May starts shouting at the top of her lungs, her face glowing like a literal tomato from embarrassment. She's grabbing his arm, making sure he doesn't run away before she can finish her epic speech. She screams that she'll leave a bloody mark so he never forgets her, even if he dies. Talk about a massive red flag. Reheim is just standing there, probably wondering if he should call the royal guards or a therapist. And just like that, May bolts out of the room, leaving the Emperor absolutely speechless in her dust. Reheim hits her with a "get away from me" gesture, and May just folds like a lawn chair on the spot. She's on the floor, probably rethinking her entire life strategy after that chaotic move she just pulled. Full-blown faceplant. The sheer lack of dignity in this moment is actually kind of impressive. Reheim is looking at her like she's a total glitch in the Matrix, completely and utterly unamused. Meanwhile, some mysterious red liquid is dripping into the pool. Things just got dark really fast. Later, Reheim is relaxing in the bath, trying to wash away the memory of that unhinged encounter with May. He can't stop thinking about that unhinged kiss. May's face is living rent-free in his head, and he absolutely hates it. She was really out here screaming and causing a whole scene like she was auditioning for a drama. He just leans back, looking like he's done with everyone's nonsense for at least the next few centuries. He casually tells his staff to come in while he's still half naked because Emperor privilege is very real. On the floor, there's an actual body and a whole mess of blood. Things just went from 0 to 100. The Imperial Knight is looking stressed, probably wondering if he gets hazard pay for dealing with this carnage. A mask is left on the floor next to the pool of blood. Someone was definitely up to no good tonight. Reheim looks totally unfazed by the mess, which is honestly a major red flag for anyone with a pulse. He stands up and gets draped in a white robe, looking like a literal god, while a literal crime scene is right there. He takes a look at some documents, probably checking to see if his suspicious person list just got a new entry. He's reading through the reports, trying to make sense of May's weirdly calculated and chaotic behavior. He starts wondering if May Avril cleaned up her act just to pass a background check. Super sus. He gives this little smirk, wondering if she's actually innocent or just a high-level manipulator playing the long game. May starts remembering her first days. The rats in the dungeons were honestly eating better than her. She was just lying there in her cell, looking like she was ready to give up on this whole reincarnation thing. She woke up looking like she just pulled a massive all-nighter and immediately regretted every second of it. She realized she'd possessed the body of a doomed villainess, and the vibes were immediately off. Then she saw a sword tip pointed right at her neck, which is a pretty rude way to say good morning. It was Reheim, and he was out here holding a blade to her throat through the prison bars, no chill. May's internal screaming reached a level that shouldn't even be physically possible for a human. He was just standing there, looking like he was about to end her whole career before it even started. He hit her with that "I'm the main character" smirk while he decided whether or not to finish the job. May started crying and begging for her life, because dying twice in 1 week is just terrible luck. She was literally facepalming from the stress, wishing she could just restart this entire simulation. The sword actually nicked her neck. Okay, the Emperor is definitely not playing around with his prisoners. She looked up at him with those big, "please don't kill me" eyes, hoping her plot armor would finally kick in. She remembered the original story where her sister April was the one everyone actually loved and adored. May locked in, realizing she needed to do something drastic if she wanted to avoid a permanent game over. She was basically praying to the plot gods, while Reheim kept that sword way too close for comfort. She stood her ground, trying to look like she had a plan even though her knees were absolutely shaking. Reheim seemed amused by her sudden change in attitude. He really does love a good plot twist. She started talking her way out of the execution while the Imperial Knight watched like he was at a tennis match. One wrong word and that sword was going to do more than just nick her. The tension was actually insane. The narrative shifts back to the kingdom's politics, apparently. Everyone is out here being treacherous. Knights are riding out to war, and the whole empire is basically one giant powder keg waiting to blow. And there's the future she's trying to avoid. Reheim on the throne with Avril, looking like the ultimate power couple. The Crimson Flame Knights show up looking like absolute bosses, serving as a secret order that basically follows the Emperor's every whim. May's stress levels are peaking as she realizes the original story was all about Reheim finding a wise woman to be his partner. She hits him with a high-key, dramatic laugh from behind the bars, starting her desperate campaign to rewrite her own doomed ending. Meet May Avril, the girl who just realized she's a side character in a romance novel with the power to see everyone's spoilers. And this is the Emperor, Reheim Elibton, who looks like he's 100% done with whatever she's about to say. She's out here literally begging him not to make her empress, which is a total flex for an extra. May's doing her best to look totally harmless, like a stray puppy trying to stay off the villain's radar. Next thing you know, she's on the floor, looking like she just went through it. The girl offers up her family's land deeds, trying to strike a deal that'll save her life. She doubles down by promising to take out every single traitor in 3 days flat. Talk about main character energy. Reheim takes the scroll, probably wondering why this random girl is acting so bold. May doesn't flinch though. This deal is the only way she's surviving the plot. The Emperor's just staring at her, trying to figure out if she's actually for real or just trolling him. Meanwhile, the town is already buzzing with the latest tea about the royal family. The local gossip mill is working overtime, wondering how someone like her even got an audience. Then there's Avril, the younger sister who's currently acting like a total angel for the cameras. Everyone is eating up her innocent act, thinking she's the most wholesome girl alive. But behind the scenes, some major moves are being made. May slams her desk in frustration because juggling all these tropes is exhausting. She yells at the staff, demanding to know how a simple announcement turned into such a mess. Reheim just stares at his paperwork like she's not even in the room making a scene. She finally gives up and just pouts with her arms crossed, totally over it. That gets his attention, and he hits her with a look that's ice cold. She immediately snaps back to reality, wondering if she just pushed her luck too far. He asks her if she's actually serious about pulling this off. Her face lights up when he actually starts considering her deal. May wastes zero time and marches right out to start building her own little empire. Step 1. Recruiting some high society villainesses who are tired of playing nice. Reheim leans in way too close for comfort, probably trying to see if she'll crack under pressure. She's low-key panicking and sweating, realizing that being his fiancée is a full-time job. He just smirks at her reaction, looking like he's actually starting to enjoy the chaos. Fast forward to the big night at the royal mansion. The party is packed with nobles, who are just there for the entertainment. May shows up in a yellow gown, feeling totally overwhelmed by the crowd. Reheim's looking sharp in his uniform, ready to play the part of the devoted fiancé. She puts on her mask and decides it's finally time to show everyone what she's capable of. They look like the ultimate power couple, but she's internally screaming. She lets out a frustrated sigh when she thinks no one's watching. The ball is in full swing under a massive chandelier that's probably worth more than her life. People are already whispering about where the mysterious May Avril could be hiding. She laughs it off while sticking close to the Emperor, playing her role to perfection. But then she stops dead in her tracks when she sees something that leaves her totally shook. Reheim's got that predatory look in his eyes as he spots something in the crowd. He pulls her into a sudden embrace, and May is officially malfunctioning from the blushing. The guy leans down with a look that says, "Things are about to get very interesting." May makes a run for it, and Reheim just watches her go like he's got all the time in the world. The Emperor looks pretty focused for a tyrant, probably wondering if his little trap is actually going to work. He heads out with his guards, and you just know things are about to get messy. He's out here admitting he set a trap, but he's still not exactly happy about it. Suddenly, it's an ambush assassins in masks drop in like it's a ninja movie. But the guy doesn't even flinch, looking totally ready to handle business himself. He gives them that "you chose the wrong day to die" look, which is honestly terrifying. Cut back to another fancy party where the nobles are busy gossiping about everything except the actual plot. Two women are whispering in the corner, and one of them is definitely up to no good. May's back in her mask, frantically scribbling notes in her little purple book. She realizes something is wrong and starts to panic, which is basically her default state now. But then Reheim pops up out of nowhere and snatches the notebook right out of her hands. The girl is literally vibrating with rage, trying to get it back, but he's way too tall. The Emperor just holds it over his head with a smirk, asking her what's so important in here anyway. She's out here pointing fingers and yelling, but she's definitely not getting that book back easily. May tries a different approach and hits him with a "trust me, I'm a genius" smile. She makes a grand entrance back into the hall, and everyone's eyes are on her. Later, in the Imperial study, Reheim is meeting with an official to talk politics. He looks like he's bored out of his mind listening to the same old excuses. But then the gray-haired man says something that actually shocks him, and that doesn't happen often. The Emperor leans in, hands clasped, and you can tell he's about to drop some heavy news. The official doesn't look too happy about where this conversation is going. Reheim just gives him that smug, I know all your secrets look. The guy just bows and leaves, probably needing a drink after that interrogation. He marches out of the room, but he doesn't look like he's giving up just yet. There's a close-up of his eyes behind those glasses, and it's giving major secret villain vibes. Meanwhile, the Emperor is just sitting there looking satisfied with how things are playing out. He reaches into his desk drawer to pull out something he's been keeping hidden. Suddenly, we get a glimpse into a dark memory, a young girl trapped and alone. He pulls out a small chess piece, which is probably a metaphor for how he treats everyone. Cut to the Avril mansion, where things are definitely not as peaceful as they look. May is tossing and turning in bed, looking like she's fighting for her life in her sleep. The girl is sweating and groaning, clearly trapped in a nightmare that won't let her go. In her dream, she sees a young April Avril surrounded by people who are just tearing her apart with words. The poor kid is just crying and clutching her teddy bear, and it's actually pretty heartbreaking. May stands at the door, watching the whole thing unfold but unable to help. She peeks through the door, only to find something even worse on the other side. She finds her sister huddled on the bed, arms covered in marks like she's been trying to claw her way out. She looks absolutely horrified as she realizes the Heroine title comes with a massive cost. Then there's this vision of April looking perfectly happy and pure, which is definitely a lie. It shifts into a creepy version of her that looks like something straight out of a horror movie. May snaps awake in her bed, gasping for air and thanking the heavens it was just a dream. May wakes up gasping, looking like she just saw a ghost or just a really bad vibe. Her maid is right there, and May is clearly not ready for whatever hurry means today. Meanwhile, the palace gates are looking as grand and extra as ever. Outside, a group of people are protesting, holding signs demanding that someone gets released. Reheim is watching the commotion from his window while a girl is literally jumping for joy in the background. He's just standing there, looking all regal, and probably thinking about how to handle this mess. He turns his attention to May, giving her that intense look that says, "We need to talk business." May is officially malfunctioning, blushing like a tomato because the Emperor is way too close. She's trying to keep it together while Reheim just looms over her like it's nothing. He starts explaining the hierarchy of the empire, basically giving her a Noble's 101 lecture. Reheim looks dead serious, probably because palace politics are actually a nightmare. He's definitely got that burden of the crown aesthetic going on right now. May looks like she just heard the worst news possible, or maybe she realized how much work she has to do. She's looking at Reheim with a mix of confusion and what did I sign up for? Suddenly, she's running around the room, full of chaotic energy while Reheim just watches. He hits her with that, remember? Look, holding up a paper like he's got all the receipts. May is so stressed, she's literally rattling her teacup, relatable content. She takes a sip, trying to act like she's not internally screaming right now. They're sitting across from each other, and the tension is high enough to cut with a knife. May points at herself like, wait, me? You want me times to handle the nobles? There's a close-up of a guy with a mustache, who looks like he's definitely judging someone's life choices. Back to the duo. Reheim is probably dropping another plot twist on her. Cut to April Avril, who is looking every bit the perfect, refined lady of the house. May is sitting in a fancy room, probably waiting for the final boss. I mean, her sister. April is out here looking like the main character of a completely different, much fluffier manga. May is not buying the act at all, her face turning that classic blue done with this color. The two sisters are sitting across from each other, and it's basically a cold war over tea. May's internal monologue is just one big I'm going to lose it emoji versus her keep smiling face. April is laughing, probably saying something that's secretly a massive roast. May gives her a bless your heart smile while her soul slowly leaves her body. April's expression suddenly shifts into something a lot more intense and scary. She slams her hand on the table, and May is definitely regretting this tea party. Now she's standing up and yelling, officially losing her perfect lady mask. April leans in, putting a hand on May's back in a way that feels way more threatening than sisterly. She's towering over May, looking like she's about to drop a full villain monologue. That smile is 100% creepy and 0% friendly, and May is just frozen. April is looking absolutely furious now. The mask is completely gone. Suddenly, a red-haired man bursts in with a stack of papers, totally killing the vibe. He's laughing and looking way too happy for someone entering a literal war zone. April is looking at him like he's an idiot, while May is just relieved for the distraction. The red-haired man starts showing May the documents, and they're actually getting along. April is watching them from the side, looking like she's already planning their downfall. May is leaning in, probably saying something that's getting under April's skin. Suddenly, a gavel slams down, signaling the start of a very intense legal drama. April is standing in the middle of a courtroom, and the vibes are definitely not in her favor. Reheim and the red-haired man are watching the proceedings from the balcony, looking completely unbothered. April is losing it, screaming because her protagonist plot is officially falling apart. She's looking absolutely desperate, probably realizing that being the villain is actually hard work. May walks into the room looking like a literal queen, ready to witness the downfall. She gives April a look that's equal parts pity and a massive "I told you so." April tries to lunge at her, but she's clearly being held back by her own panic. May covers her mouth, and honestly, she looks like she's trying not to laugh at the chaos. Reheim pulls her into a protective hug, looking like the ultimate male lead right now. April collapses on the floor, looking completely defeated while the crowd probably boos. The red-haired man steps up, looking ready to throw hands if anyone even looks at May wrong. April is staring up from the floor, and you can practically see the failed heroine title over her head. She's crying actual tears now, looking like a total mess while May just watches. She reaches out for someone to save her, but the entire room is giving her the cold shoulder. Reheim looks down at her with a face that says he's 100% done with her drama. April looks absolutely terrified, realizing her possessed soul is in deep trouble. Reheim turns to May with a soft expression that is 100% just for her. April screams one last time, refusing to accept that she's losing the spotlight. And then, she's just gone, being dragged away into the shadows of the dream. Reality hits May is just rubbing her eye, realizing she was daydreaming about April's downfall the whole time. But then, April leans in with that creepy, high-contrast look that says the nightmare isn't over. May looks genuinely shook, probably because the real April is way scarier than the dream version. Cedric Lichistan, a cold-looking guy in glasses, is busy flipping through some very official-looking papers. May Avril, our protagonist who can see character titles, sits across from the blonde Emperor Reheim. Reheim looks pretty unimpressed, while May tries to keep her cool next to him. Suddenly, May is absolutely beaming, like she just won the lottery or something. She's laughing and having a grand old time with the Emperor, who's actually smiling back. The two of them look like a total power couple sitting in that massive, fancy hall. Back to reality, Cedric is looking extra serious as he oversees the Empire's messy politics. He starts describing the worst-case scenario, like the Western nobles deciding today is the day for a rebellion. Then, he adds pirates on the Eastern Coast, taking hostages to the list of Monday problems. Reheim isn't feeling the vibe, especially when it all hits at once like a literal storm. May is low-key losing it internally while Reheim just gives her this smug, knowing look. They're stuck in a stalemate at the world's longest conference table. May looks completely blindsided by whatever just came out of the Emperor's mouth. She's trying to explain herself, but it's giving major panicked student energy. Cedric just stands there looking down at her like she's the most confusing thing he's ever seen. May takes a moment to herself in the middle of the palace, probably questioning all her life choices. Outside, the palace gardens are looking peaceful, which is the exact opposite of May's mental state. She literally collapses on the floor, surrounded by a purple aura of pure despair. May is comically sobbing because her plan to be a background character is officially dead. She starts hallucinating romance tropes, imagining herself in a cliché leaning on the ML moment. Then she imagines the classic chin lift move that always happens in these novels. Back in reality, she blurts out, "1 week," like her life depends on it. May's eyes turn into literal beams of light she's finally locking in. She's blushing and stressed, but she's not letting this story ruin her. A little later, May is wandering through the gardens, trying to find some peace. She stops to pick a rose, still looking pretty distracted. A mysterious woman in a fancy red dress enters the frame, looking like she owns the place. The woman's heels click on the tiles as she walks with some serious confidence. May is already at the tea table, waiting to see who this new player is. It's Emma Lindsay, the hidden villainess, and she's looking every bit the part in that red gown. May sits down with another woman, this one dressed head to toe in black, like a gothic queen. The woman in black sits there looking mysterious and probably judging everyone in the room. She gives a little smirk, clearly enjoying whatever secret drama is going down. May settles in, trying her best to look like she knows what she's doing. Emma gives her a polite smile, but we all know there's a villainous title floating over her head. The two of them face off at the entrance of a very fancy-looking building. May closes her eyes and takes a breath, trying to act like a proper, noble lady. She takes a sip of her tea, probably needing the caffeine for the scheming ahead. Emma keeps up the act, smiling like she's just having a casual chat with a friend. But May is sweating. She knows exactly who Emma is and that she needs to stay on guard. They sit across from each other, the tension thick enough to cut with a teaspoon. Emma drops the act for a second and says she's going to be honest with her. Emma Lindsay is looking serious, and honestly, the vibe is a bit heavy right now. May finds herself surrounded by the absolute elite of the unhinged category. Welcome to the Jasmine Club, basically the local chapter for high society villainesses. May is sitting right in the middle of them, trying to act like she's not terrified for her life. Every single one of these women has been persecuted or side-eyed by society. The rumors surrounding them are straight up ominous, and honestly, a little wicked. Emma just sips her tea like she doesn't have a whole laundry list of red flags. May can literally see their titles floating around. It's like a who's who of dangerous archetypes. May is just sitting there like, I'm in danger, while staring at her own tea. She watches Emma carefully, trying to figure out her next move before things get messy. Suddenly, May gets a visual of what these women are actually capable of. Like Lady Dorothy, who apparently went through a whole chains and blood phase. She was basically committed after some very public, very fiery incidents at the palace. The girl was found in a bathtub full of blood talk about commitment to the aesthetic. Back at the table, May is trying to process all this nightmare fuel. Emma looks like she's about to cry, or maybe she's just a really good actress. Then she flips the switch and gives May this perfectly polite, slightly terrifying smile. She casually mentions that her club is just a bunch of girls with reputations. No biggie. Emma sits back, making it clear that May is the one who's out of her depth. She locks eyes with May, and the intensity is honestly a bit much. May is vibrating with anxiety at this point. She's basically one wrong word away from a crisis. She tries to keep it professional, but the pressure is definitely getting to her. May is then cornered by another member in a black hat who looks like she stepped out of a funeral. The woman in the black hat towers over May, and the garden vibe just got 10 times creepier. She looks at May with this knowing grin, her face hidden in the shadow of her parasol. She reaches out and lifts May's chin, a classic power move that May was not prepared for. The woman just stands there looking mysterious, and May is 100% done with the suspense. May sits back down, staring into the distance while leaves fall around her dramatically. She gulps, realizing she has to do something completely unhinged to survive this meeting. Suddenly, May's eyes glaze over. It's time for her to go full pure heroine mode. She shouts at the top of her lungs that all of them actually have warm hearts. Emma looks like she just witnessed a glitch in the Matrix. She is completely stunned. May starts making heart gestures, talking about the love buried deep within their cold, villainous souls. She goes into a full-on theatrical performance, praying for their lost innocence with zero shame. She stands up and spreads her arms wide, delivering the cringiest speech of her entire life. Emma's expression goes dark. The joke clearly didn't land, or maybe it landed too well. May starts sweating buckets, realizing her warm heart strategy might have backfired. She keeps up the act though, desperately trying to sell the idea that they're all just misunderstood angels. Emma's heels click on the floor as she starts walking toward May. The tension is back to 100. Emma gives her this terrifyingly sweet smile, with half her face in the shadows. Suddenly, there's a loud slam that echoes through the room, making May jump out of her skin. May is officially freaking out, wondering if this is the moment she finally gets canceled for real. The palace is looking expensive under the moonlight, but the vibes are definitely off. May is wandering the halls alone, probably wondering why she's even here. She looks like she's had a long day and just wants to log off for good. Something catches her eye, and suddenly she's wide awake and very concerned. May spots another girl in the distance, and the main character energy is almost blinding. This is Avril, a girl with long pink hair who looks like the definition of innocent heroine. May is literally stunned. She just realized she's looking at Seol Eun-chae. Avril is out here living her best life, serving looks and pretending she's not a whole problem. May is just watching from the sidelines, trying to process this plot twist. The hallway is quiet for a second, but you just know some drama is about to go down. May and Avril start talking, and the fake friendliness is reaching toxic levels. Avril gets way too close, grabbing May like they're besties or something. Cringe. Avril is acting all sweet, but May can feel the underlying malice. It's a lot. May ends up hiding behind a guy's back, while Avril looks like she's about to start a fire. A floating title appears, The Tyrant Reheim and the transmigrated heroine Seol Eun-chae. Absolute peak fiction. Avril does the classic oops, I bumped into you move with a blonde man named Reheim Ellipton. She blushes and apologizes, hitting him with the full heroine in distress routine. Reheim just looks down at her, probably trying to figure out if she's for real. The second Reheim isn't looking, April's expression goes completely dark. Talk about a jump scare. May is watching this whole performance with pure concern for her own safety. Avril leans in and whispers something that definitely isn't, have a nice day. She flashes this creepy, wide-eyed smile that is honestly nightmare fuel. Avril walks away like she didn't just drop a whole threat on May's head. May is left standing there, looking like she's reconsidering all her life choices. Avril is laughing and acting like a literal angel for the crowd again. Iconic behavior. She's even dancing with Reheim, playing her part as the protagonist perfectly. But we see the real her, the one with the malicious glint in her eyes, not a vibe. May is officially at a loss. The plot is thickening and she's out of breath. She starts sweating, realizing she needs to step up or get written out. Time to lock in. Avril is standing there looking like a masterpiece, but May knows it's all fake. April's eyes are glowing with that I'm the main character energy that is just a lot. May is narrowing her eyes, focusing on the titles she can see floating around. She watches as April continues to orbit around Reheim like a calculated moon. May flashes back to a girl crying on the floor, thinking about how worthless she felt. Rough. She's done being the extra. She's standing up and taking charge of this chaotic narrative. Even though her hands are shaking, May is moving forward with a plan. Mostly. She lunges forward with a look of pure determination on her face. It's go time. May grabs April's wrist, stopping her mid-stride. The audacity! She's holding on for dear life, refusing to let April just walk away this time. April looks absolutely shocked. A loud sound effect marks the moment the tables turned. The two of them are locked in a silent standoff in front of the window. Intense. May is holding April tight, ready to finally confront the fake heroine once and for all. May is officially done being a background character and starts popping off at April. She lunges forward, and the sheer energy of this confrontation is actually kind of insane. April gets shoved back, and you can practically hear the dramatic boss music starting to play. May realizes she might have just overstepped, and the instant regret is written all over her face. Reheim Ellipton is just standing there in the hallway, looking like the final boss of vibes. May freezes up completely, knowing she's been caught in the most awkward situation possible. Reheim looks down at her with that cold, I'm the tyrant stare that has zero room for excuses. May Avril might look like just another extra in a romance fantasy novel, but she's got a cheat code. She can see everyone's spoilers floating right over their heads. Right now, she's watching a classic innocent heroine scene play out at a fancy ball, and it's honestly too much. Her sister, April Avril, is on the floor looking pathetic, while the Emperor, Reheim Ellipton, just towers over her. April is putting on a masterclass in fake tears, looking like her entire world is ending. But Reheim isn't buying the damsel in distress act for a second. He looks more annoyed than anything. Close up on those crocodile tears. If only everyone knew the soul inside her is actually a modern-day villainess trying to steal the spotlight. May decides she's had enough and rushes straight into the middle of the drama. She grabs Reheim's sleeve, which is basically social suicide for someone with zero plot armor. She looks him dead in the eye, trying her best to act like she's not terrified of the man nicknamed the Tyrant. She's shaking like a leaf internally, but she's gotta hold it together to stay in the game. Reheim just stares down at her, probably wondering who this random noble girl is and why she's touching his imperial robes. Cedric Rishistan steps in to lead May away, before things get even messier between her and the Emperor. Reheim turns his back on April, leaving her on the floor where she belongs. May looks away, feeling the weight of the massive scene she just caused. April's sweet act vanishes the second their backs are turned, replaced by a smug grin. The imposter soul is definitely enjoying this. May walks away with Cedric, feeling like she just dodged a bullet. She's blushing hard, mostly from the secondhand embarrassment of her own impulsive moves. They head deeper into the palace, the long, empty hallway highlighting just how far she strayed from the extra script. Back at the ball, April tries one last time to get Reheim's attention by looking extra fragile. She's leaning into the trope hard, practically begging for some male lead protection. Reheim just stands there looking completely over the drama while April keeps up the act. He gives her a look so cold it could freeze the entire room. April's fake smile falters when she realizes that the Emperor trope might be harder to crack than she thought. He doesn't say a word, just looms over her with pure main character energy. April looks around, probably wondering where Reheim went after that cold shutdown. Back at home, May is currently losing her mind in bed. She's hiding under the covers like they're her only protection from the cringe she just pulled. Her face is bright red as she remembers the kiss and slap combo she pulled on the Emperor earlier. She sits up abruptly, looking like she's about to have a total meltdown. She stares at herself in the mirror, wondering how she ended up being the one doing the absolute most. Then comes the bed tantrum. She starts kicking and screaming into her pillow. It's a full-on punching the air moment because she can't believe she actually slapped the Emperor. She realizes she's committed to this bold extra role now, for better or worse. Time to pull herself together. She fixes her hair and gets ready to face the day. She gives herself a quick pep talk. If she's gonna survive, she's gotta keep that same energy. She bursts through the door, ready to start her next phase, recruiting a team of villainesses. Her staff is already waiting, looking a little concerned about her sudden burst of productivity. The butler is practically shaking. He's clearly not used to May being this intense. She just gives them a big, confident smile. She's the one in charge now. She starts explaining her plan, and it's clear she's not taking no for an answer. The staff's reactions are priceless. They look like they've seen a ghost. May holds a tea party for the most notorious ladies in the Empire, officially launching the Jasmine Club. May Avril is finally getting into the swing of things, playing her part as the mysterious lead. She's rounded up the Empire's most notorious girls for a high-stakes tea party. Emma Lindsay and the rest of the crew are just trying to figure out May's angle. These ladies are all about the side-eye, and they're definitely not buying May's new bestie act yet. May keeps her cool, sipping her drink like she's the one who invented main character energy. But inside, she's sweating. Maintaining this audacious extra persona is a 24/7 grind. A confident smile is her best weapon, even if she's just making it up as she goes. The vibes at the table are immaculate. RMY awkward, as everyone waits for someone to blink first. Emma is watching her like a hawk, waiting for any sign that this is just another noble scam. Emma's not the type to hand out her trust for free, and she makes that very clear. May tries to soften the mood with a warm smile, hoping a little kindness goes a long way. Emma looks away, her mind clearly working overtime to analyze the situation. She drops the hammer, telling May flat out that there's absolutely no trust between them. Her stare is so intense, it could probably set the tea on fire if she wanted it to. May takes a second to sit with that. She knew these villainesses wouldn't be an easy sell. Emma stands her ground, representing a group of girls who are tired of being tropes. Close up on May's eyes, she's calculating her next move while trying not to panic. Behind the scenes, they're all just looking for a way out of the roles the world gave them. Emma's tough exterior starts to show a few cracks as she listens to what May has to say. May realizes she needs to ditch the noble script and just be real with them for once. It's a risky play, but being authentic is the only way to win over someone like Emma. Emma looks back at her face finally softening into something that looks like actual interest. The rest of the Jasmine Club is just holding their breath, waiting to see if Emma's in. The blonde and silver-haired girls exchange looks, sensing the tide is finally turning. By the end of it, May is actually giggling. She might have actually secured the alliance. The maids bring in a whole new spread of sweets to celebrate the successful negotiation. But the moment the door closes, May is face down on the couch like a total disaster. She's officially out of juice, questioning why she didn't just stay a background character. Then her brain decides it's a great time for a flashback of the Emperor, and she's back to stressing. She jumps up like she just sat on a cactus because the thought of Reheim is way too much. Her life used to be so simple, but now it's all schemes, villainesses, and hot emperors. The maids hear a noise and come rushing in, probably thinking she's finally lost it. They find her having a full-blown existential crisis and try to keep her from falling over. May looks like she's seeing a whole different genre of plot twist right in front of her. She's literally reaching her limit, and her body is definitely about to hit the shut down button. A hand catches her before she eats floor, and that grip is way too strong to be a maid's. She looks up, her vision going fuzzy as the exhaustion finally catches up to her. Even as she's fading out, she can still see April smirking like the possessed heroine she is. And with that, May Avril is officially logged out for a much-needed nap. The next morning, the sun is way too bright for someone who just had a total breakdown. She's tucked into her bed, probably planning to stay there until the next chapter. She opens her eyes slowly, hoping the whole saving the world thing was just a vivid dream. May Avril wakes up and immediately chooses shock and awe as her first emotion of the day. There's a whole-ass stranger standing at the foot of her bed, which is not the morning routine she signed up for. Her vision is currently giving 144p resolution. She literally can't see anything clearly yet. Reheim, Lipton, and the staff are just standing there, being tall and ominous for no reason. Suddenly, May's eyes start doing that glowing thing again, standard protagonist special effects, basically. She has a quick flashback of some dude leaning over a bed, very classic romance novel aesthetic. She tries to play it cool with a sneaky little smirk while she's supposed to be resting. Reheim is just standing there watching her pretend to sleep. He's definitely not buying the act. The deadpan stare from the Emperor is enough to make anyone want to actually pass out for real. May is sweating bullets because keeping up this sick girl facade is a whole-ass cardio workout. Reheim goes for the forehead check, a certified male lead move in every romance fantasy playbook. He's getting way too close for comfort, and May is definitely internal screaming right now. The blush is real. She's basically reached the overheated stage of pure, unadulterated embarrassment. Reheim just sits there, completely unbothered, while May tries her absolute best not to combust. The man with the red hair pops in at the absolute worst moment, because plot convenience is like that. May peeks one eye open, just completely over the unnecessary drama of it all. Reheim looks like he's about to drop a very serious plot point, or at least a very brooding monologue. She's already imagining her face on a wanted poster, and honestly, it's not the vibe she was going for. Reheim is lost in his own brooding thoughts, which is pretty much his default setting. The red-haired noble is just the background character watching the high-stakes romance subplot happen in real time. May finally gives up the act and sits up, looking like she just realized she's in a fan fiction. She has a vision of someone kneeling before a dark throne, very dramatic, 10/10 for cinematic flair. Before he can leave, she grabs his sleeve with that classic wait, don't go energy. Reheim looks actually shocked. Unexpected physical contact definitely wasn't in his script for today. May looks like she's about to drop some world-class lore on the unsuspecting Emperor. She's holding onto his hand now, really leaning into that audacious extra role she's created for herself. She starts her pitch, trying to look as important as possible while sitting in her nightgown. Her grip is tight because her survival literally depends on this man taking her seriously right now. Reheim mumbles something that's probably meant to be deep and meaningful, but who knows? May's face says it all. That was definitely not the profound response she was expecting to hear. Reheim pulls the classic walk away without explaining anything maneuver as expected. May looks like she just got left on red in real life, and it's honestly tragic to witness. But then, he turns around with that intense stare that only male leads are legally allowed to have. He sits back down on the bed, and the awkwardness levels are officially off the charts. Reheim looks like he's actually listening to her audacious nonsense for once in his life. They're just sitting there in silence, and the vibes are, well, they're definitely something. They start having an actual conversation instead of just staring and looking noble at each other. Reheim is watching her closely, probably trying to calculate if she's a genius or just totally insane. May hides behind her blanket because the social interaction is finally becoming too much to handle. This new guy with the glasses looks like he's only here to bring the logic to this whole drama. The doctor presents the results while Reheim and May just stand around looking important in the background. Turns out, the mysterious plague was just bedbugs. Literally the most relatable plot twist in history. Reheim Elibton looks like he's having a midlife crisis over a bedbug report. The doctor is treating this life-changing medical discovery way too seriously. Reheim reads the document with the intensity of a man reading a death warrant. A noble in the corner is just brooding because that's the only personality trait allowed. Reheim slams the paper down. Pest control has never been this high stakes. Everyone's eyes are doing those dramatic zoomed-in close-ups for no reason. May Avril is just standing there, probably waiting for someone to explain the plot. She suddenly realizes the vibe has shifted and her extra senses are tingling. The shock on her face is actually relatable for once we're all confused, May. The doctor is absolutely fuming because the medical textbook didn't mention this. Reheim literally springs out of his chair with the energy of a final boss. He looms over May, making sure the awkwardness reaches its peak potential. He reaches out in slow motion, and May is definitely questioning her life choices. Reheim looks like he's about to drop a very brooding, very handsome monologue. May just gives him a thumbs up and a finger point like she's in charge. Meanwhile, Cedric Leichistan is speedrunning through the hallway to reach the room. He kicks the door open with a bang, ready for a crisis that doesn't exist. May is just laughing her head off, leaving the men completely bewildered. The traumatized, "I ran all this way for nothing" look on Cedric's face is iconic. Even the doctor looks like he's officially done with this entire family's drama. May pulls out her secret weapon, a small child with the most judgmental face ever. Meet Elise Leichistan, 7 years old physically, but 27 mentally. May presents the kid like a prize on a game show, while the men just stare. Elise is already leading her own squad mental age. 27 hits different in a kid. Reheim Elibton looks like he's about 2 seconds away from a total mental breakdown. Meanwhile, Elise Rishistan is just staring him down with zero fear in her eyes. She's basically leading her own little squad, including April Avril, and they mean business. Reheim is out here rubbing his temples because the stress is actually becoming physical. The little girl is putting in overtime with that quill, probably rewriting the whole script. Reheim's really trying to make sense of this whole situation, but nothing is adding up. May Avril steps in to check on the group, looking like she's got a solid plan. She's fully locked in and ready to take charge before things get any weirder. She flashes a big smile, clearly pleased with how her schemes are playing out. But the mood shifts real quick as April's sinister vibes start to leak through. Reheim is still stuck in his own head, probably wondering where it all went wrong. May is out here giving it her all to convince him her plan is actually genius. The confidence is wavering. She's literally sweating bullets behind that smile right now. She's basically vibrating with anxiety while the Emperor just watches her struggle. Reheim looks at her like he's trying to decide if she's brilliant or just a chaos magnet. Suddenly, Cedric Leichistan appears behind her, and the whole atmosphere changes instantly. May's heart is doing backflips, and her face is turning into a literal tomato. She straight up launches herself into the air to jump him like a heat-seeking missile. Cedric just scoops her up midair and holds her like a sack of groceries. May is absolutely fuming at the lack of dignity in this whole situation. He just gives her a little head pat to quiet her down, which is honestly kind of disrespectful. Cedric tells her he'll catch the rest of her success story some other time. May is just sitting there, totally stunned that he actually had the audacity to touch her. She's blushing hard, but there's no way she's going to admit she liked it. She heads off while the kids watch her leave, probably judging her entire life. She starts wondering when the actual romance part of this story is supposed to kick in. Time to put the feelings aside and get back to the mission at hand. Shouts echo from the palace as a title pops up above the building. Meanwhile, the kids have literally started a full-blown protest for basic human rights. May can't believe her eyes. This definitely wasn't part of the original plot. She's trying to figure out how to handle a literal toddler revolution without losing it. One guy is just sprinting away, and May can literally see the sound of his running. The villainesses May recruited are working hard, and one is literally about to faint. This guy looks like he just got caught red-handed and is absolutely panicking. May's face says it all, things are going south way faster than she expected. She tries to comfort the little girl, but the kid is not in the mood for talk. There's a look in the girl's eyes that's definitely not innocent child material. She starts screaming her head off, and May is just completely out of her depth. Someone in the background looks like they've seen a ghost and can't even move. The scene shifts to a shady-looking door tucked away in a dark, foggy alleyway. Inside, the local tavern is packed with people who definitely look like they're up to no good. May's undercover and trying her best to blend in without looking too obvious. Elise is out here playing the innocent little sister card, but May Avril isn't buying it for a second. May's trying to keep a lid on things, but Elise is already reaching for the spotlight with both hands. And just like that, the kid is literally flying. She's definitely not a normal child anymore. Some local guy with a great mustache is just trying to mind his business while these two cause a scene. Elise's got this smug look like she just pulled off the greatest heist in history. The two of them together are a total menace, and May is just trying to keep up with the chaos. Elise's back is turned, but you can practically feel her plotting her next big move. She's giving some poor guy the cold shoulder, and May is just watching the drama unfold from the sidelines. The kid just walks away like she owns the place, completely ignoring everyone in her path. Then the vibes go from 0 to 100 real quick. Elise's eyes are literally glowing blue. She collapses with this dark, sketchy aura, and May is starting to seriously panic about what's happening. It looks like a total meltdown, and May is just trying to figure out if she needs an exorcist or a doctor. Suddenly, it's like a zombie apocalypse of little girls with red glowing eyes. May is absolutely terrified. May's stuck deep in thought, trying to piece together what this trope-filled mess actually means for her. But then Elise flips the switch back to cute and innocent like nothing ever happened. The scene shifts to a massive, expensive-looking estate that screams old money and high status. Reheim is just sitting there, looking like the ultimate final boss of every romance novel ever written. Elise is back to her cheerful self, while May looks like she hasn't slept in about 3 days. Reheim's got that stern, judgmental look that only a truly powerful emperor can pull off. May and the kid are stuck under his watchful eye, and the tension in the room is actually physical. He just closes his eyes and sighs, probably wondering why he's stuck dealing with this level of chaos. Elise starts throwing a literal tantrum on the couch, kicking her legs and begging him to just do it. May's eyes go wide with hope this might actually be the opening she was looking for. Elise is just hanging out upside down now, being the most chaotic and unpredictable child in existence. May tries to hush the kid before things get even more out of hand with the Emperor. But Elise just gives her this winning, adorable smile that's designed to melt everyone's hearts. Reheim is just looking down at her, probably trying his best to resist the cuteness overload. May is absolutely ecstatic, looking like she just won the lottery or pulled off a miracle. She and Reheim walk off together, and the vibes are finally starting to feel a bit more like a real romance. Later that night, the library is looking extra moody and atmospheric with all those old books. Cedric Lichtenstein is hard at work, looking through documents like the future of the Empire depends on it. He's the Chancellor, and he's clearly taking every detail of his job very seriously. May Avril arrives to see him, looking way more formal and refined than usual in her green dress. Cedric just gives a tiny, subtle smirk. He's definitely up to something, and it's probably not good. He looks her straight in the eye with a serious expression that's actually kind of intense and intimidating. The two of them walk through the halls together, and the height difference is honestly hilarious. Cedric is back in his office later, looking like the weight of the entire world is on his shoulders. He suddenly clenches his chest, and his heart is literally racing. Looks like someone's catching feelings. From the outside, the palace looks quiet and peaceful, but things are definitely heating up inside those walls. Skipped. Credits page. Inside the carriage, May is panicking because the rumors say Reheim hates women, and the silence is absolutely suffocating. Reheim leads the way through a dark hallway, looking as cool and mysterious as ever. Reheim stands his ground, looking completely unbothered while blood spatters the air around him. The ground is literally littered with guys who thought they had a chance against him. He looks back with this deadpan expression, probably just annoyed that his night was interrupted. It's a total bloodbath out there, and Reheim is slicing through them like it's a casual gym session. Inside the carriage, May is just trying to survive the sheer awkwardness and the actual murder happening outside. Reheim stands over a literal mountain of bodies, looking like the final boss he actually is. Reheim looks like he's just enjoying a nice glass of wine later, as if he didn't just end a dozen people. Elise is just chilling on the carriage seat, completely unfazed by the life-or-death situation happening outside. May is having a literal internal crisis because elegantly watching a battle was never in her job description. Reheim is back at it, parrying a blade with the kind of focus that's honestly a little scary. May catches a glimpse of one of the attackers through the window and realizes things are getting way too real. The window shatters into a million pieces, and May is officially in full panic mode. She's ducking for cover, hands over her ears, while the carriage becomes a literal war zone. A massive blade thrusts through the wall, missing her by like an inch. Talk about a close call. May is backed into a corner, shaking like a leaf as an assassin closes in on her. She's trying to scramble away, but the assassin is right there, looming over her like a bad omen. She looks back, tears in her eyes, probably wondering if this is how her extra life ends. The assassin's eyes are cold and focused. He's definitely not here for a friendly chat. May is sobbing now, completely overwhelmed by the fact that she's about to be deleted from the plot. Suddenly, a dark figure appears behind her. It's Reheim coming in for the save at the last second. She's clutching her neck, terrified and gasping for air as the chaos reaches its peak. Reheim comes flying in like a dark angel, ready to take out anyone who dared to touch her. May is just a heap on the floor, trying to process the fact that she's still alive and breathing. She's coughing and clutching her throat, the trauma of the moment finally hitting her hard. The carriage door is literally splintering, everything is breaking, and May's sanity is right behind it. Reheim is out here throwing hands and blades, making sure no one gets near the carriage again. May looks up, bruised and terrified, while Reheim stands guard like an absolute unit. She grabs a sword from the floor, looking like she's about to fight back despite being a total mess. She's wielding the blade with both hands, ready to defend herself because she's done being the damsel. Reheim looks at her with this surprised, almost impressed expression. Guess she's got that dog in her. The battle is finally over, leaving a trail of bodies and broken steel in its wake. Reheim stands in the middle of the carnage, looking back to make sure the coast is clear. May is just a mess on the carriage floor, clutching that sword like it's the only thing keeping her sane. He looks at her with those intense eyes, probably checking to see if she's actually still in one piece. The marks on her neck are looking pretty dark, and she's still gripping that hilt like her life depends on it. She tries to give him a totally fine smile, but she's clearly struggling to hold it together. Reheim steps into the carriage, his presence filling the entire space and making it feel even smaller. He kneels down beside her, his expression softening just a tiny bit as he checks on her. May flinches as he gets closer, the adrenaline from the fight still coursing through her system. He reaches out and touches her shoulder, maybe trying to make sure she's actually real. Then, he just collapses into her lap, leaving May absolutely stunned and frozen in place. He looks completely spent, his eyes closed and sweat on his brow as he passes out on her. Cedric is finally awake, looking a bit dazed while May watches him with that don't even think about it energy. May's internal monologue is probably doing gymnastics right now after having a whole duke pass out on her lap. She gives him a polite smile, but you can tell the tension in this carriage is at an all-time high. They've reached some sketchy-looking building, and the vibe is definitely giving secret underground meeting. May is playing it cool under her hood, while some guy with a massive scar on his face just stares her down. There are bags of grain everywhere, or at least that's what they want people to think. May is out here doing the most, rummaging through suspicious sacks like it's a Black Friday sale. She finds exactly what she was looking for, looking pretty pleased with her undercover detective skills. Cedric is keeping watch, his cloak wrapped tight as he wonders why his life has become a heist movie. They're making a break for it with the goods, May looking stressed while Cedric handles the heavy lifting. The duo slips away through the mist, trying to blend into the city like they weren't just looting a warehouse. Suddenly, this red-haired guy shows up. Gale looks like he's about to make their night a lot more complicated. May is shook. She definitely didn't expect to run into anyone she knew while dressed as a commoner. The Emperor, Reheim, is just standing there with his blonde hair and imperial aura, looking like he caught them in 4K. She clutches the sack even tighter, probably wishing she had a cancel plot point button right about now. Cedric keeps his head down, hoping the Emperor doesn't notice his right-hand duke playing hide and seek. Reheim has that suspicious look in his eyes, the kind that says he knows exactly what's going on but wants to see them squirm. May is biting her lip, her brain probably screaming abort mission as the confrontation becomes inevitable. Reheim and May are out here doing some undercover work in the middle of the night. They're sneaking through an alley, and May's carrying a bag like she's smuggling something actually important. She looks like she's about to have a heart attack the second she hears a noise. May's out here hugging this bag like it's her emotional support spice. Some red-haired guy spots her, and the vibe immediately goes south. Suddenly, someone snatches the goods right out of her hands. May is literally frozen in fear. This was not in the extras handbook. She manages to chuck a bag at one of the guys to buy some time. She watches the chaos unfold, wondering if she's about to get deleted from the plot. Reheim decides he's done playing nice and just slashes the bags open. Turns out the bags were full of chili powder, and this red-haired guy just got a face full of it. Everyone's coughing their lungs out. It's basically biological warfare, but culinary. May stares at the spilled spices like her whole world just ended. She's actually tearing up, Either she's sad or that chili powder is just that strong. Back at the palace, Reheim is just lounging on the sofa while May tries to recover her dignity. They're having a quiet moment together, and things feel surprisingly chill. May finally breaks into a huge smile. Crisis averted. She's decided to use the spices to feed a whole group of kids. Look at that spread. This kid is literally crying over how good the food is. That's some top-tier cooking. Elise is going to town on the food, too. No genius brain works on an empty stomach. Reheim and May watch them eat, looking like they just accidentally became parents. May is feeling pretty proud of herself right now. She's laughing and having a genuine moment with Reheim. The contract feels like a distant memory. Then he says something that just makes her brain freeze. Reheim starts walking away, thinking the conversation is over. But May stops him. She's definitely got some liquid courage in her system. He looks back, totally confused about what she's trying to do. She leans in close. She thinks this is all just a dream anyway. And then she just goes for it. She kisses the Tyrant Emperor right then and there. She pulls back with the happiest, most content smile ever. Mission accomplished. The next day, May is walking down the hall, probably praying that was actually a dream. She spots Reheim up ahead, and the panic immediately sets in. Meanwhile, Reheim is talking to his godmother, who is clearly having the time of her life. Reheim is trying to act like he isn't bothered, but he's definitely overthinking things. The godmother is just smirking. She knows something he doesn't want to admit. She starts talking about May, picturing her usual chaotic energy. May is literally a ball of sunshine, and it's clearly working on the grumpy emperor. Reheim looks thoughtful. Maybe having a bug in the system isn't so bad. The godmother throws up a peace sign. She's fully supporting this disaster couple. She gives him some final words of wisdom while he looks down, totally defeated. She hides her laugh behind her fan. She's definitely the captain of this ship. May catches a glimpse of them, and her face is just pure oh no as the memories come back. May is sitting across from Reheim, and you can practically see the stress radiating off her in purple waves. She's holding that box like it contains the secrets of the universe, or maybe just a really awkward gift. She tries to laugh it off, but her brain is clearly just buffering at this point. Reheim is just sitting there being his usual stoic self, making the atmosphere even more tense. May looks away, probably rethinking every life choice that led her to this moment. The palace gardens are way too peaceful for the absolute chaos happening in her head. She's finally ready to hand over the box, trying her best to act like a normal person. Next thing you know, they're on a boat. Cue the romantic music or the impending disaster. May stares at the water, remembering all the warnings she got about dangerous motives. Reheim looks like he'd honestly rather be anywhere else but on this tiny boat. May is beaming, probably thinking she's finally nailing a classic romance trope. She's imagining a total main character moment, complete with the sparkly romantic filter. And then reality hits. She goes flying right off her chair as the boat wobbles. Reheim barely has time to react as the whole boat starts to tilt. May is officially in the water, screaming her head off. This was definitely not part of the plan. She's splashing around while someone dives in to save her, paging a lifeguard. Please. It's a total mess, and the dramatic rescue is turning into a genuine struggle for survival. Eventually, they're out and shivering by a fire. So much for a romantic afternoon on the water. Fast forward to the night market, and the sky is full of fireworks. Vibes are high. May and Reheim are trying to stay low-key under those hoods, but they're not fooling anyone. May is literally shaking. The social anxiety of being near the Emperor is hitting different. Reheim grabs her, and suddenly the atmosphere gets way too intense. She looks up at him, and her heart is probably doing several backflips. He looks back, and for a second, he doesn't look like a tyrant at all. It's a moment. He gives a little smirk. He definitely knows exactly what he's doing to her. May is basically a human tomato. Yes, let's go, she says, probably just wanting to escape. Cut to later, and she's face down on the table. The night clearly didn't go as planned. She's out cold, probably from too much juice, and a massive emotional hangover. Elise is just watching her, probably judging her life choices with that look. Meanwhile, the actual heroine, Seolun-chae, is out here living her best main character life. May slams her hands on the table, finally waking up to the nightmare of her actual life. She's literally in tears. The secondhand embarrassment is just too much to handle. She can't stop thinking about how perfect Seolun-chae looks compared to her extra self. Back to tea time, but the atmosphere is heavy enough to sink a boat. Again, May is trying to process the fact that Seolun-chae is the actual rope-in heroine. She imagines Reheim with the pink-haired girl, and it's a total power couple move. She looks down, feeling every bit like the disposable extra she was born to be. Reheim is just sitting there, being handsome and confusing as usual. May tries to laugh it off, waving her hands around like she's trying to clear the air. She stares at her own reflection in the tea. Existential crisis activated. Reheim takes a sip, completely unbothered by the turmoil across from him. They just sit there in silence. It's awkward, but also weirdly domestic. Reheim stood up so fast he basically teleported, looking completely done with the current conversation. May is just staring at this gift bag like it's a bomb that's about to go off at any second. She's getting a full-on vision of the novel's main couple, and the second-hand jealousy is hitting hard. May's face is doing that thing where it totally forgets how to look like a normal human for a second. Reheim is back at the table, leaning on his hand and looking effortlessly cool just to flex on everyone. They're sitting there in the most expensive-looking room ever, still being peak levels of awkward. May tries to laugh it off, but she's clearly only one minor inconvenience away from a total meltdown. Reheim just straight up calls her out, saying it's a bribe with the most smug face I've ever seen. Suddenly, they're out in the wild, horse riding like they're starring in a high-budget period drama. Reheim is leading the way on a majestic white horse, while May follows behind, trying to keep up. May is actually having a good time, living her best equestrian life for all of 5 minutes. Never mind, the horse is going way too fast and she's officially screaming for her life. Rip. She's blushing so hard her cheeks might actually combust right then and there. Pure chaos. Reheim looks like he's in a perfume commercial, completely unbothered by the wind or the speed. May is back to being a nervous wreck, probably wondering why she didn't just stay in bed today. They're heading deeper into the woods, and the vibes are starting to get majorly sketchy. May gets a sudden bad feeling, her face going totally pale as the shadows around them move. She's struggling to control her horse, and it's glaringly obvious that things are about to go south. They're galloping through the trees, totally oblivious to the fact that they're currently being watched. Someone's got a crossbow aimed right at them, and they are definitely not out here hunting deer. Reheim senses something is off and looks back, but it might already be too late to dodge. He's more worried about May than himself, shouting for her to be protected before anyone else. An arrow flies out of nowhere and hits the horse, and the blood is very, very real. The horse goes absolutely wild, rearing up and threatening to toss May off into the brush. May is holding on for dear life as the panicked horse bolts straight toward a cliff edge. Reheim is desperately reaching out, his face losing all of that cool composure for once. Everything is a total blur as May clings to the horse's neck, praying to whoever might be listening. Their hands are literally inches apart, but the gap feels like a mile in this slow-motion nightmare. They almost make the connection, but the momentum of the horse is just too much to fight. The horse loses its footing and they go straight over the edge. It's a literal cliffhanger. May is falling through the air, and her entire life is probably flashing before her eyes right now. They hit the ground hard, but it looks like Reheim might have actually cushioned her fall. What a guy! May is a sobbing mess, her face covered in dirt and pure, unadulterated terror from the drop. She's huddled over Reheim, frantically checking if he's still with the living after that fall. He's out cold, looking surprisingly peaceful for someone who just fell off a literal mountain. May is panicking so hard her face is basically a permanent, intense shade of crimson. He finally opens his eyes and leans in close, and the tension is suddenly off the charts. They're stuck at the bottom of a massive rocky cliff with absolutely zero way out in sight. May is back to yelling at the universe because, of course, this happened on her watch. Reheim just gives her a casual head pat to shut her up, and it's weirdly effective. She peeks out from behind a tree later, probably just trying to hide from her own feelings. Reheim is sitting there brooding, likely plotting a very dark revenge on whoever shot that arrow. May is peeking through the bushes, probably checking if the vibes are still rancid or if it's safe to move. Reheim is leaning against a tree, looking like he just pulled a triple shift with absolutely zero caffeine. She's just sitting there on the forest floor, having a quick existential crisis in the middle of the dirt. May stands up, suddenly remembering that they're currently stranded in the literal middle of nowhere. And then a spider lands right on her forehead. Truly, the universe really has it out for her today. She loses her mind and dives back into the bushes, which is honestly the most relatable reaction possible. Now she's on the ground, absolutely fighting for her life against her tiny, uninvited 8-legged guest. Reheim is just sitting there, watching the whole breakdown with the most I am so done energy imaginable. It turns out he's actually bleeding from his shoulder, which explains the whole brooding in silence thing he's got going. His eyes are starting to close, he's officially hitting low battery mode after that massive cliff fall. The sun sets behind the mountains, painting the sky in that perfect golden hour glow. May Avril is giggling to herself like she just found a cheat code for life. She asks if someone was out of the loop, looking way too cheery for a survival situation. Then reality hits her like a truck, and her face just drops. She looks over at Reheim Lipton, who's just standing there looking extremely serious. She tries to laugh it off, but the vibes are definitely shifting. May starts spiraling into her own little world of romance manhwa cliches. She's literally manifesting that romance heroine energy right now. In her head, they're having a cute picnic instead of being lost in a forest. Step 1 of the trope, The male lead gets hurt and passes out so the girl can save him. She grabs his sleeve, probably realizing this isn't a fanfic anymore. Suddenly, the panic sets in for real. She realizes Reheim is actually in big trouble and screams for help. Her vision gets all blurry as the waterworks start up. Reheim looks at her like he's seen a ghost, or maybe just a very emotional girl. May is full-on sobbing at this point. Total main character moment. She just tackles him with a hug because what else do you do? She's practically yelling at him for scaring her like that. Her face is a total mess of tears and blush. It's actually kind of a mood. They're just sitting there, middle of nowhere, and she's still not over it. They manage to get a campfire going as night falls. Reheim is just staring into the flames while May tries to fix the fire. He looks over at her with that intense, I have trauma stare. May jumps back like she just got caught reading his diary. Reheim looks down, probably debating whether or not to trauma dump. May gets that determined look in her eyes. She's not letting him mope. Then she gets all flustered again and hides her face. Standard. She's basically vibrating from embarrassment while he just watches. He's still just sitting there, looking beat up but remarkably calm. May lets out a confused, huh? Like she's buffering. Reheim starts opening up about his past, and it's not pretty. He remembers his parents, back when they were the ultimate power couple. The whole family had that signature blonde hair and those I'm better than you vibes. A royal wedding that looked like a dream on the outside. But the bride, Agnes, didn't exactly look like she was having the best time. Then things got bloody, like straight out of a horror movie. It all led to a funeral in the pouring rain. Depressing. Someone was definitely not coming back from that. And there's Agnes on the throne, looking colder than ice. Reheim looks down, the memories clearly still living rent-free in his head. May just stares at him, realizing his life is way deeper than any novel. He can still see her getting that crown while everything else was falling apart. May looks at him, totally captivated by the tragic backstory he's dropping. Reheim is staring off into the distance, still trapped in those childhood memories. His eyes are full of that signature main character sorrow that's honestly a lot to handle. May is genuinely shook by what she's hearing. It's way darker than the novel described. She looks at him with those big eyes, probably wondering how he's even functional. Reheim stands up, and that blood stain on his shirt is definitely not part of the aesthetic. May is literally trembling because this whole situation is reaching peak intensity. Close-up of Reheim's face, he's totally locked in on his trauma right now. In the flashback, we see Agnes kneeling on the floor, looking absolutely drained by palace life. The servants were scurrying around, trying to get young Reheim out of the room as fast as possible. He was just a kid sitting alone on a couch, holding some flowers and looking completely lost. Even back then, he had that I've seen too much expression on his face. Agnes looked like she was on the absolute verge of a full-blown breakdown. Back in the present, they're just sitting by the campfire in a very heavy silence. Reheim looks over at her, probably expecting her to be scared of him like everyone else. May moves closer to him, showing that she's not about to run away. She's still a bit nervous, but she's definitely standing her ground. Reheim actually cracks a small smile, which is a rare but welcome W for him. Later that night, Reheim is on guard duty with his sword while May catches some Z's. She's out cold, totally oblivious to the dangers of the forest. He reaches out and gently fixes a stray hair, which is low-key sweet of him. He's leaning over her, but something is definitely wrong with the vibe. May is still asleep, probably dreaming about chili powder smuggling. Reheim is looking real flushed. The man is definitely burning up with a fever. May wakes up and immediately realizes things have gone south. She checks his forehead and yeah, he's basically a human radiator right now. She looks around frantically, probably wondering where the nearest hospital is in 1800s Fantasyland. Suddenly, she hears something moving in the bushes. A group of sketchy-looking dudes walks out, and they're definitely not here for a campfire chat. May's survival instincts kick in immediately as she grabs a weapon. She grabs a burning branch like it's a legendary sword. "Back off," she basically yells, waving the fire around to keep them at bay. She stands her ground, even though her hands are literally shaking. She takes a swing, but these guys actually have weapons. Her face says it all. She might have bit off more than she can chew. One of the bandits raises his club, ready to end her whole career. Suddenly, Reheim moves so fast, she can barely see him. Even with a fever and a massive injury, he's still out here taking lives. The ground is suddenly covered in bandits who learn the hard way not to touch the protagonist. Reheim stands there breathing hard, looking like a total boss. He's sweating and looks like he's about to pass out, but he's not showing it. The remaining bandits are shaking in their boots, realizing they just messed with the wrong guy. May stares at the blood soaking into Reheim's shirt, her heart skipping a beat. "Blood," she cries out, because seeing your lead bleeding out is never a good sign. Reheim doesn't even flinch, swinging his sword with absolute lethal intent. The bandit is stunned by how much damage this guy can take and still keeps swinging. He's parrying hits like a machine, but you can see the toll it's taking on him. Every clash of steel is a gamble at this point, but Reheim isn't folding. Suddenly, one of the bandits grabs May, and the whole vibe shifts to emergency. The guy covers her mouth to stop the screaming, but his grip is way too tight. Reheim sees her in trouble, and his eyes go cold. It's game over for that guy. He delivers a final, brutal slash that definitely puts an end to the fight. May is left standing there, completely overwhelmed by the amount of blood everywhere. Reheim is barely staying upright, his breathing ragged as the adrenaline fades. The battle is over, but the ground is painted red, and it's honestly a lot. May rushes to catch him as the last of his strength leaves his body. He finally collapses, passing out from the sheer exhaustion of staying alive. Just as things look dire, Cedric Lichistan arrives with the rescue squad, transitioning to the palace, where everything is way more expensive and less lethal. May is wandering through the corridors, looking like she hasn't slept in a week. A doctor and some maids are rushing to the infirmary to check on Reheim. Cedric is there to give her the "he's stable" news, which is a huge relief. Reheim is finally safe in bed, looking way too peaceful with all those bandages. May stands by his side, still trying to process everything that happened. She's lost in thought, remembering how he looked when he was fighting for them. Even in her memories, Reheim has that tragic but hot energy going on. Reheim opens his eyes and sees her right there, which is definitely a W for him. May is leaning over him, probably checking if his brain is still functional. They share a quiet moment, the palace noise feeling miles away for once. He thanks her for taking care of him, like a real fiancée, which is top-tier flirting. May eventually passes out right there on the bed, her battery finally hitting 0. Cedric walks in and catches them, which is definitely going to be a rumor tomorrow. Reheim is awake and sitting up, while May is still in deep sleep mode. He signals for Cedric to be quiet so she can actually get some rest. Sometime later, the nobles are all gathered and clapping like their lives depend on it. May is dressed in her finest and looks absolutely stunning, even if she's nervous. She's all smiles for the crowd, but you can see her social battery draining. Reheim is back in his formal gear, looking every bit the emperor he is. He reaches out and pokes her cheek because he literally can't behave himself. May blushes so hard, she could probably light up the entire garden. The palace fountain is doing the most in the background of their big moment. They stand together under the blossoms, looking like a straight-up fairy tale. They reach out and hold hands, and you can practically hear the shippers screaming. May is absolutely reeling from the hand-holding, her face saying everything. Reheim keeps the momentum going, while May just tries to stay conscious. Her face is doing the most, turning a shade of red that shouldn't be humanly possible. Reheim is just standing there looking handsome, which is probably illegal. The whole garden scene is giving major end of the first act energy. He decides to touch her hair because, apparently, the hand-holding wasn't dramatic enough. May is having a full-on system error while Reheim whispers something suspiciously smooth. Cut to the library where May is definitely trying to distract herself with some light reading. The stairs are empty for now, but the vibes are telling us someone is about to barge in. She's deeply invested in those papers, probably searching for a way out of this romance. Reheim appears in the doorway, looking way too casual for someone who's about to ruin her focus. May is squinting at the text like it's the most interesting thing in the world. She turns around and gets a face full of Imperial Tyrant, which is quite the jump scare. The paper she dropped just sits there, completely ignored by everyone in the room. Before she can even think about escaping, he's got her cornered against the bookshelves. She's looking up at him like she's waiting for the other shoe to drop. That extreme close-up on her face says everything you need to know about her current state. Reheim leans in, and May is definitely not handling the proximity well. He touches her cheek, and she's practically glowing red from the sheer embarrassment. The man looks way too smug about the effect he's having on her. Reheim just straight up calls her out for being a clumsy fiancé. May is ready to manifest a black hole and disappear into it right now. She's replaying the whole drunken kiss disaster in her head, and it's pure torture. She tries to hide, but Reheim's just standing there enjoying every second of her suffering. The scene shifts to a much darker vibe down in the castle's basement. May is meeting with the bandits she found, and the mood is heavy. These guys aren't just random thugs, they look like they've been through it. One of them is straight up begging for mercy, completely broken by the system. May keeps a poker face while Reheim stands behind her like a literal shadow. She starts taking notes with a quill, finally getting their side of the story. The man looks like he's lost everything and then some. Hearing their stories is a lot, and the guy just can't hold back the tears. May realizes these people aren't villains, they're just victims of someone else's plot armor. The sheer weight of the receipts she's gathering is giving her a massive headache. Flashback time, April just walks away from people's lives like she's trash collecting. A woman is left on the floor in despair while the men can only watch helpless. May's eyes sharpen as she starts piecing together the heroine's real track record. She fixes her collar, done with the shock, and ready to start her counterplay. These bandits were once just normal people who got pushed to the edge. It turns out April has been abusing her power to slap around anyone who doesn't fit her script. Dragging people by their hair is apparently heroine behavior in this world. She'd ruin someone's life and just walk away without a single second thought. Another day, another person getting their world wrecked for April's satisfaction. She keeps that innocent smile on her face, while people behind her are literally praying for it to stop. This is what she calls cider, crushing anyone she deems a villain just for the vibes. But the fallout of her justice is leaving the whole town in ruins. People are left grieving and desperate after she's done with her main character arc. May looks at the bandit leader, finally seeing the real cost of the original story. It's a lot to process, even for someone who already knew the plot. She can't just stand by and let this heroine keep playing God with people's lives. Back at the palace, a fire is roaring, but the atmosphere is ice cold. The maids are scrambling, trying their best to stay out of the crosshairs. April walks through the halls like she owns the place, leaving a trail of terrified staff. She's got that "don't mess with me" look that spells trouble for everyone else. Case in point, she just dumps a bottle of wine over a maid's head for no reason. A man has to carry the poor girl out after April's latest tantrum. It's late at night, and the casual cruelty of the palace is on full display. Someone is watching from the shadows, and they've seen way too much of the heroine's dark side. The whole perfect story is starting to crack, and May is about to shatter it for real. These shackles are a bit much for a first meeting, don't you think? Reheim looks completely dead inside, while May is just there, regretting her life choices. Meanwhile, April is over here surrounded by roses and a dark aura, looking like she's about to start her villain arc. May is literally 1 second away from a total meltdown, and honestly, same. And of course, April is living her best life, laughing like she didn't just ruin someone's entire week. The palace is definitely aesthetic, but the people inside are mostly just a mess. New gig, May is now a part-time professor giving a lecture on romance tropes. She is absolutely yelling at this point. This isn't a lesson, it's a desperate cry for help. And this is where the plot armor fails. She's really putting her whole soul into this presentation. Elise is her only student, and she looks like she's about to leave a 1-star review. The kids actually got notes, which is both impressive and slightly terrifying for someone her age. May is starting to realize that being a teacher might be harder than actually surviving the plot. We're making progress, right? Elise is way too hyped for someone who's supposedly an extra. May is literally short-circuiting. Her brain has officially left the building. This kid is a menace. She's already manifesting a whole-ass marriage for May. Reheim flashes through her mind looking like a main character, and Elise is 100% here for it. Go seduce the tyrant. Yeah, May is about to have a full-blown mental breakdown. At least the snacks look high quality, silver linings, I guess. Reheim is just sitting there, existing, and looking as cold as a frozen lake. Someone's trying to feed him, but he's basically a no-touching zone right now. May is trying her best to stay calm on this date, but the tension is actually insane. She's giving it her best shot, but the conversation is basically just awkward silence. Reheim just stands up and leaves. Ouch! That's a massive L for the seduction plan. He doesn't even look back. He's got that "don't bother me" energy on lock. He's walking away and May is just left there, literally holding onto his sleeve. Wait, you're just going to leave like that? She's definitely losing this game. Wait, plot twist! He's suddenly getting way too close, and the vibes just shifted big time. May is running through the palace halls, probably trying to escape the absolute cringe of the situation. She looks back, and yeah, she's definitely questioning every decision she's ever made. They're alone in a room, and the lighting is suddenly way too shoujo manga for this mess. Here it is, the bold kiss May is going to spend the rest of her life regretting. Reheim just straight up covers her mouth. Talk about a complete buzzkill. He looks genuinely mad, or maybe he's just as confused by her unhinged behavior as we are. She's trying to apologize, but it's just making everything 10 times more awkward. She's basically cowering at this point. The tyrant is definitely winning this round. Reheim just starts cleaning up, acting like he didn't just witness a total disaster. He looks at her with that "what is actually wrong with you" expression. And then he just walks away. He's really made that his signature move, hasn't he? She's left staring at his back, probably wondering if it's too late to move to a different novel. The morning after realization hits, and May is crying actual tears of pure shame. Elise walks in with a massive stack of papers, completely ignoring May's mental breakdown. Why am I like this? May is officially in the pure regret phase of her life. Elise is giving major boss baby energy right now. May is clearly trying to process whatever unhinged advice she just received. She looks like she's staring into the distance, wondering if her life is a movie or a tragedy. May is officially in the "if I don't look at it, it isn't happening" phase of her life. This is exactly what she expected. Reheim and April having a whole-ass romance novel moment. Reheim is just standing there being a main character. The visuals are hitting, unfortunately. May is out here trying to be content with her extra status, but the vibes are definitely off. Elise looks way too happy for someone whose life is currently a political power struggle. Cedric is back, and Elise is basically a heat-seeking missile for his attention. Cedric is out here giving stoic older brother energy, while Elise just wants to be part of the plot. The dark hallway is giving horror movie jump scare incoming. And honestly, I'm here for the drama. Reheim and April under a single candle? The lighting is doing a lot of heavy lifting for this scene. April looks like she's about to drop a plot twist that absolutely no one asked for. The door is creaking open like it's a haunted mansion, which is never a good sign. The throne room looks like a whole villain lair. The interior designer definitely understood the assignment. April is out here doing her best innocent heroine act, and it's actually kind of impressive. The maid is not buying it for a second. That side-eye is absolutely legendary. And there's the mask slip. April is definitely the final boss of this story arc. Leave alive? Someone is officially done playing nice, and the threat level just went to maximum. Swords are out, and April looks like she's regretting every single life decision. The maid and Reheim are giving, "We know what you did," energy. The tension is actually insane. April is back to her happy girl persona. The range is terrifying, truly. Reheim is at his desk, probably thinking about imperial politics or whatever it is tyrants do. Watching them through a crack in the door is a classic trope, and May is unfortunately the one doing it. May is witnessing the main couple moment and she's literally crying. This is a total vibe kill. Reheim and April together in the sunset. It's a tense visual, but at what cost? She's just standing there, watching her perfect story fall into place, and it's clearly not as satisfying as she thought. Reheim is just sitting there being handsome. It's his only job, apparently. He looks back like he knows someone is watching. He's got that main character intuition. This guy is sweating. Whatever he just saw, he was clearly not prepared for it. Time for a change of scenery. The carriage is here, and it's giving major date night vibes. May is looking nervous, probably because her test date is about to start. Elise is out here being the best wingman a girl could ask for, even if she's only 7. Her date looks like he stepped out of a different manhwa. The black hair, dark clothes combo is a classic. May is hiding under a cloak because she's currently a walking red flag of social anxiety. He's just looking at her like, "Are you for real right now?" May is shook. Whatever just happened, she did not see it coming. The local kids are just living their best lives at the market, completely unaware of the noble drama. They're walking through the town like they're in a rom-com, despite May's best efforts to be invisible. May is trying to be serious, but the purple cloak is making her look like a very stressed grape. He's actually paying attention to her. The eye contact is way too intense for a test date. And just like that, the tension breaks. May is finally smiling, and honestly, she deserves it. Reheim is out here tapping his desk like he's counting down the seconds until he can lose it. At this late hour, he's definitely not a fan of overtime, especially when the news is this bad. His subordinate looks like he's reconsidering every single one of his career choices right now. Reheim is giving major "don't test me" energy. The vibes are officially immaculate, but terrifying. The report is apparently serving up some tea that Reheim was absolutely not prepared for. Alone in his massive office, he looks like the final boss of a corporate drama. And there it is. The news just hit him like a freight train, and he's officially buffering. Meanwhile, May and Cedric are out here living their best rom-com life with some cotton candy. The jealous tyrant trope is officially loading, and Reheim is looking ready to start a war. May looks like she just realized the romance plot is moving way faster than she anticipated. Ouch. The physical pain is nothing compared to the emotional damage she's about to cause. The aide is just trying to survive this briefing without getting exiled to the border. Reheim is entering his villain era, and honestly, the intensity is kind of a mood. That look in his eyes? Yeah, someone is about to get a very strongly worded imperial decree. Cheers to a night out. 2 massive wooden mugs meet for a heavy toast. Reheim, Elipton, and May Avril are chilling at a tavern, though Reheim looks like he'd rather be literally anywhere else. May's just trying to keep it low-key in her blue hood. They hit the streets, but May gets caught in the crowd and almost wiped out by some guy running past. She manages to grab onto Reheim's cloak for dear life as she stumbles. Then she realizes what she just did and books it, leaving him standing there completely confused. May's face is basically a "what am I doing" meme right now as she hides in her cloak. They pass by a fancy market stall full of gold trinkets that look way too expensive for a casual stroll. Reheim looks back at her like, "You coming or what?" May points at something across the street, totally distracted by all the shiny things. She's getting way too hyped about the market, spinning around like she's the main character for once. Back at the table, she's just poking her food. The fun vibe definitely didn't last. She starts thinking about the people this world treats like background noise, the cider victims who got crushed by the original heroine's plot. Like this red-haired girl stuck behind bars just so someone else could feel like a hero. It's honestly depressing. May's shadow master, Elise, has been busy turning the whole narrative upside down behind the scenes. May's looking serious now, actually feeling the weight of the lives that were ruined by the original story. She looks over at Reheim, wondering if he's just another part of the script she needs to break. Her eyes are fixed on him, looking for any sign of the Tyrant title she usually sees floating above his head. She spends the rest of the night furiously writing everything down, trying to build a case against the so-called heroine. Papers are flying everywhere while she works, like she's on a deadline from hell. By the time she's done, she looks like she hasn't slept in 3 business days. The dark circles are real. She's literally slumped on the floor when Elise shows up to check on her progress. Elise just gives her that "I'm a child, but I'm smarter than you" look while she explains the next move. Later, May's staring at her own reflection in a mug of ale, questioning her life choices. Then she just goes for it and chugs the whole thing in one shot. Reheim is low-key impressed. Mug slammed. She's officially done with being sober tonight. The alcohol hits immediately. May's face is bright red and her brain is basically buffering. She's swaying so hard, Reheim is probably wondering if he needs to call a carriage or an exorcist. He's just sitting there, completely lost on how the conversation devolved this fast. May starts laughing at absolutely nothing, living her best and most chaotic life. Meanwhile, Seol Eunchae is out there looking like a perfect angel in her sun hat, plotting something devious. She's reaching out like she's some precious saint, which is the biggest red flag ever. She gives this sweet smile that's 100% fake. She's already labeled May as a bug that needs to be deleted. Back in reality, May's battery has officially hit 0. She faceplants right onto the table. Reheim stares at her, probably questioning why he agreed to this test date in the first place. She's completely out, no thoughts, just vibes and snoring. Reheim reaches over, finally dropping the cold Tyrant act for a second. He drapes his cloak over her so she doesn't freeze while she's passed out at the bar. She looks way too peaceful for someone who's currently a wanted bug in the system. Reheim realizes his phobia of women isn't even flaring up right now. Progress is progress. He even goes for a head pat. It's a small win, but it's there. He just lets his hand rest there for a moment, letting the weirdly domestic vibes sink in. Then the realization hits him and he turns into a total blushing mess. Mission failed successfully. Reheim Ellipton picks up the passed-out May Avril, ready to get her out of the tavern. He carries her away, looking like a total main character while she's just dead weight. A hand reaches out as they make their exit from the busy bar. He's got her in a bridal carry, looking surprisingly soft for a Tyrant. May's just vibing in her sleep. He brings her toward the carriage waiting in the dark street. May's face is bright red, and she looks like she's having the best dream of her life. She starts to wake up, but the realization of where she is hits her like a truck. Reheim just looks at her with that intense main lead stare. Panic mode is fully activated as she tries to process this very awkward situation. Reheim leans in, probably whispering something smooth that her brain is too fried to hear. He gets way too close for comfort. May's life is literally flashing before her eyes. She covers her mouth, convinced this is all some weird, high-quality hallucination from the drinks. Close up on those eyes. She's definitely seeing titles she wasn't prepared for. Reheim's just watching her intently, wondering why she's looking at him like he's an alien. He leans his head on her shoulder. The tension in the carriage is actually insane right now. May starts laughing like a maniac, probably because her brain just snapped from the stress. She reaches out and grabs his face with both hands. She's really going for it. And she kisses him. The Chu heard round the empire. She actually did that. Reheim's eyes are wide open. The system just crashed. He pulls back, his face turning into a literal tomato. He's completely broken. But May isn't done. She pulls him back in for round 2 like an absolute legend. Reheim is just letting it happen now, though he looks like he's seeing stars. It's a full-on romantic clinch. This definitely wasn't in the script for a background extra. May finally snaps out of it and hides her face. The instant regret is already settling in. Reheim's just sitting there, hand on his chin, trying to keep his cool while blushing like a schoolgirl. May is having a full-blown existential crisis. She's so red she's basically glowing. She won't even look at him. The awkwardness in this small space is palpable. She grabs his sleeve, probably to make sure he's still real and not a dream. Reheim looks at her, still flustered but clearly intrigued by her sudden boldness. May's internal monologue is just screaming, it's a dream, over and over. Cut to the next morning. May is blushing, just thinking about the dream she had. Meanwhile, Elise is giving her a full-blown lecture with a blackboard and everything. Elise is not playing around. She's breaking down the plot like she's a professional analyst. May is just sitting there in her new dress, totally zoned out. The kiss is the only thing on her mind. Elise keeps talking, probably explaining how May just messed up the entire timeline. May suddenly snaps back to reality when she realizes the gravity of what she actually did. She walks down the hallway, looking like a ghost. The post-embarrassment walk of shame is real. She's just done. Her brain is fried from all the mental gymnastics. She faceplants onto her bed, wishing the floor would just swallow her whole. She stares at the ceiling, replaying the kiss on loop. It's a total nightmare. Was it a dream or reality? The million-dollar question she's too terrified to answer. The memory of Reheim's blushing face is living rent-free in her head. She's cooked. May Avril is currently going through it, her face a mix of pure shock and, did I really do that? Energy. The memory of the kiss hits her like a flashbang. She really just went for it with Reheim Lipton. Reheim's surprised face is living rent-free in her head. He was actually blushing. She's literally glowing red from the secondhand embarrassment of her own actions. She bolts out of there, running through the palace like she's trying to outrun her own life choices. She stops, still looking like she's about to combust from the sheer awkwardness. Fast forward to tea time, and the vibe is absolutely rancid. May is sitting across from Reheim, trying not to look at him. She's staring off into space, sweating buckets while she tries to act like she didn't just assault his face last night. Reheim is just vibing, sipping his tea like he doesn't have a care in the world. The contrast is actually sending me. A sudden realization hits her. Maybe she didn't just mess up her life, but the whole plot. Reheim gives her a look that says, I know what you're thinking, and it's hilarious. She's sitting there as stiff as a board on the fancy sofa. The tension could be cut with a butter knife. She looks like she's about to apologize, or maybe just faint. Her brain is still buffering. Close up on Reheim's eyes. He's definitely plotting something, or he's just extremely handsome. Both? Both. May is looking at him with a mix of fear and, oh no, he's hot, realization. A close-up of a hand touching a fancy bow. The plot is definitely thickening. Flashback to Seo Lunche, April telling Reheim something important about May. They look like a total power couple in this memory, the original fate of the Tyrant and the Saintess. Back to the present. May is looking at a bow on the table, probably wishing it was a portal to another dimension. She takes a sip of tea, desperately trying to look like a normal human being. Reheim has that I'm the male lead smirk on his face. He's definitely enjoying her misery. The silence is loud. Reheim is just watching her squirm in her seat. She's shaking so hard her tea is basically a tsunami in that tiny cup. Reheim looks like he's about to drop a bombshell. This can only end poorly for May. May looks like she's just been told the world is ending. The sheer horror in her eyes is top tier. She stands up, probably to run away again, because that's her signature move now. She's sweating so much, she might actually dehydrate right there in the tea room. Reheim is just staring at her, looking like a total snack, while also being extremely intimidating. May grabs her skirt, looking like she's ready to jump out the nearest window. Close up of Reheim. He's probably about to say something that will end her whole career. Another flashback. May is remembering her drunk self in the carriage, being way too bold. A hand reaches out. This is where things went from oops to oh no. May is looking at that hand like it's a lethal weapon. It was actually Reheim grabbing her. Flashback again. The kiss was not a dream. It was a 4K high-definition reality. She was sitting right in front of him, looking like she was about to make a huge mistake. And then she lunged at him. Future May is currently screaming internally. She grabbed him by the shirt. Absolute savage. Close up on Reheim's eye. He didn't even see it coming. The distance between them was basically zero. The tension was off the charts. She really did it. She kissed the Tyrant Emperor. R.I.P. May Avril. The kiss was actually passionate. Reheim was not just a passive victim here. May was blushing so hard, her face probably felt like a furnace. The memory is too much for her. Elise is out here giving full main character energy while cheering. She's doing the smug chin pose because she knows she's the smartest person in the room. Flashback to May, Avril being a total blushing mess, while Reheim Lipton carries her. The ship is shipping. Just a quick flex of the palace's architectural budget. May Avril is trying to stay calm while Elise is literally face-planting into the sofa, big mood. May is staring off into the distance, probably wondering how her life became a trope-filled mess. A look at the extras in the territory, who are basically just trying to survive the plot. This group of girls looks like they've had enough of being background characters with no lines. The blonde woman stares at a document, her face showing the heavy weight of being an NPC in a cruel world. May Avril is holding a paper and looking shook, while Elise is back there celebrating a successful mission. Elise gives a wink because she knows she just ate that explanation up. May looks at the paper and her face says it all. The plot is plotting and it's not looking good for her. Seol Eunche. April is sitting at her desk, looking like she's about to fire half the staff. She's got that I'm the villain, but I make it look good aesthetic going on. The Mean Girl trio is absolutely losing it right now. The drama is delicious. Close-up of Seol Eunche. April looking like she's just thought of the perfect way to cause chaos. She's just vibing at her desk, probably planning someone's downfall between tea breaks. The trio is yelling now. They are definitely not vibing with whatever Seol Eun-chae, April just said. Seol Eun-chae, April just shrugs like, what? I'm just the messenger. Iconic behavior. She's looking way too cute for someone who's definitely the final boss of this conversation. A dramatic backshot of a woman in a black dress, giving off major, about to end your whole career energy. A dramatic finger points at May Avril, labeling her the bug of this world that needs to be executed. The stakes just went through the roof.